Hello and welcome to The Appointment. I'm Pranjal Sharma. Joining me today for a conversation is Ankur Bhatia, who's the Executive Director of Amadeus India, as well as the Executive Director of the Bird Group. Ankur, thanks for being with us. Ankur, you wear so many different hats, but let me begin by talking about Amadeus India. Even though your focus remains travel and hospitality, as a global technology platform for the travel industry, where is Amadeus India today?
Well, it's been now nearly 25 years for the first computer which was set up in Mumbai, and I initiated that by doing a physical installation where we were getting internet bandwidth and speeds of 2.4 bytes per second. We were using green and black screens, and now fast forward to what we are right now, majority of our business comes through online. So large players actually, Make My Trip, Yatra, Clear Trip, all these guys, we are the back-end powering engine for them to use the technology what we are provisioning them. What I see is that for this particular sector, of course, there's growth. And I think we see a double-digit growth happening in any case year on year, because the base what we have in terms of the travel transactions is very, very small.
But for Amadeus, how has it changed in the last 20 years? I mean, of course, a lot of things would have changed, but what are the fundamental ways in which you're operating? Has the technology become sharper? Has your capacity increased? Are you offering new solutions to the Indian market, which may have been launched in the last few years, which are very different from what you were doing earlier?
It's been extremely consistent and extremely, innovating over these years. So we've been in the area of innovation ever since. I mean, we launched a mobile booking engine when mobiles were not equipped to actually take those bookings. And now with the mobile revolution coming in, of course, we've done a lot in terms of technologies to change that happen. But since the content is the king, and a lot of content is there right now, the idea is to get the best fare between a city pair. And that's where we invested a lot, so search engines and technologies where, at a split of a second, we can get various options for the end traveler to see through, again, intermediary through a travel agency. That's where we are specializing in. And of course, I mean, technology is getting driven on the computing power is increasing day by day, and we're actually utilizing all of that which is available in order to deliver the best performance and the fastest performance to the travel agency.
How big is your market share, and can you give us some sense of the daily transactions? How many passengers avail of the services, even though it's not a consumer-centric or focused, but consumer benefits from what you're offering?
Yes, of course. I mean, as I mentioned, we were doing 700-800 bookings a month. Today we do 2 to 2.5 million bookings a month. So it accumulates up to 35 million bookings, net bookings, because they're booked and cancelled. So, cancellation ratio sometimes 60-70%. So the net transactions are much higher. We have approximately 75,000 desktops across the country, which we are supporting. Travel agencies owned, some of them are ours. So it's a fairly large network, and we have a market share of nearly 60% in the market space. And I think that is consistently growing over these years as well. And as I mentioned, online is helping us, because the kind of technologies what we developed for online are by far very different from what our competitors have been doing over the last years.
That's an important point, because travel trade for the B2B section has really transformed, and it has made consumers can directly book airlines, which it's such a normal thing to do today, which maybe 5 or 6 years ago we could not even imagine doing that. How has that impacted Amadeus?
Yes, a substantial amount of business happens through online. But having said that I think even now we add at least 2,000 or 3,000 travel agencies every month, new agencies. And I think that is because the credit card penetration at the end of the day is not that high. While the online retailers still go on a cash on delivery model, because here you're booking online, I think that model might not be that successful. So you still end to go to your nearest PCO, earlier PCO, which is obviously those have actually transformed into travel agency or intermediaries or booking kiosks where you actually go and make your booking, and they do they do the transaction on behalf of the end consumer. So this will keep on happening, of course. I mean, there is penetration. We serve from our own desktops approximately 200 to 150 cities across the country. But again, this is
and
growing.
the South Asia region.
And the South Asia region as well. So, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and on and so forth. But I think in India, the growth is very different to what we've seen in other countries.
How so?
Penetration is just internet penetration. It's just that people have started growing from those cities which were not that large at one given time. And of course, online. A substantial amount of business has transformed. Having said that hasn't led to a loss of agencies, which people said that.
For a lay passenger, even if I book a ticket online, I still have to go through your system, right?
Well, yes and no. So all the full service, not through my system. I mean, you'll have to go, if you book a system ticket online, there are two options for you to do. Either go to an online travel agency, which is the ones which I did mention, or go to an airline. When you go to an airline.com, you don't see choices. So essentially, you go back to online travel agencies, which offer sometimes prices which are better than airline.com websites. And we are the back-end engine behind that. So when the search is done, when the ticket is booked, it's our technology which empowers that.
So that's a fascinating piece. With the 4G rollout happening in the next few months, and phones becoming a very important tool for transacting business, and travel industry is really at the forefront of that. How will that change the market for Amadeus?
See, so our company does a lot of development, a lot of R&D, a lot of innovation, and that is done keeping in mind what the future technologies are. So when you looked at an online booking using phone as a device, as I mentioned, we did it in 1998 together with Ericsson. So that's nothing new for us. The idea is now to enhance that, to give the best fares, to do that the process becomes shorter and quicker. But at the end of the day, the fulfillment has to be done by the online travel agency. And I think that bit of non-availability of payment mechanisms, well, yes, there's Paytm and other things are coming in. And of course, the online travel agencies are getting integrated into that particular process. But we are geared up completely. So, if today's date, somebody takes that initiative to ensure that all of that, what is happening, happens on mobile, which will happen for sure. We are completely geared up on doing that.
You're absolutely ready for that.